Let us delve into the core of modern warehouse strategies, focusing on SAP EWM and its intricacies within the SAP S/4HANA environment.
We will examine how delivery documents are handled and how product master data is specifically tailored to optimize warehouse processes and efficiency.
We will also explore the significant aspects of warehouse structures, integrating SAP S/4HANA with EWM, and the key role of master data within this system.
Understanding the mapping of data, encompassing storage, resource management, and queue determination, will be critical for warehouse operations.
Additionally, we'll discuss essential components such as storage types, action profiles, and work centers, essential for effective warehouse organization and handling.
Finally, we'll touch on data transfer methods, detailing how information flows between SAP S/4HANA and EWM, ensuring seamless warehouse activities overall. That's a lot to cover, but let's jump into it. So, when you're talking about SAP EWM and SAP S/4HANA, what's the first thing that jumps out at you?
Well, a crucial piece is how delivery documents are handled, right? They're the backbone for goods receipt and shipping processes. That information moves between systems.
Exactly. They're transferred from SAP S/4HANA, either manually through transaction VLO6, for instance, or automatically upon creation, contingent on certain conditions related to plant and storage locations.
And what about the product master data? How do you manage warehouse-specific data within product masters in the EWM system?
That goes into Transaction SC MAT1. Here you input all that crucial warehouse-specific data. That includes the EWM warehouse number, and it specifies who is entitled to dispose of the goods.
Aha! So it's about inputting the warehouse-relevant details, like put-away or picking control indicators. Am I right?
Precisely. And speaking of which, field control within delivery documents is key. It dictates which fields you can see or change on a delivery document.
Oh, that makes sense. You want to control access and changes. What's the deal with the product master data that's absolutely required?
The absolute must-haves, think base units of measure, or UOM. You've also got the product properties like weight and volume.
Sure, that's fundamental. Now, how does the mapping between EWM and SAP S/4HANA warehouses work in practice?
Essentially, it's configuration. You're configuring the SAP S/4HANA warehouse, the business system, and the EWM warehouse. Multiple SAP S/4HANA warehouses can map to a single EWM warehouse.
Interesting. So you can have one EWM controlling multiple warehouses, which is ideal for a large company.
Exactly. Now, when you are in SAP S/4HANA, how do you identify the integration model? What are the key elements?
You look at the model name, the application, and the target system. That integration model starts from the SAP S/4HANA system and includes all the data that is sent to the EWM system.
Fantastic. Now, shifting focus, let's discuss EWM master data. What are the vital components we should know about?
Well, it includes storage types, storage bins, and packaging specifications. And of course, the warehouse product master is also essential for enabling warehouse functions.
Agreed. And what can you tell us about the system profiles for delivery document types? What's the deal with the customer profiles versus system profiles?
System profiles, which are assigned during customer profile creation, cannot be adjusted. These are predefined and not customizable.
Got it. Now, what about the elements of a packaging specification? What does that look like?
You've got the header with the description and content info. Then you have level sets, level types, and also element types. You can define them using transaction/CWM/packspec.
Okay, moving on to data. How do you map date and time types in EWM?
You configure them in the EWM configuration interface using the delivery processing, focusing on the EWM document types, item types, business systems, and those date and time types in the SAP S/4HANA system.
All right, now let's talk about data transfer. How does data flow between SAP S/4HANA and EWM?
The document data is transferred via Business Application Programming Interfaces, BAPIs, in real time. It's all real-time communication and used to process delivery documents.
Great. Now let's talk about the delivery item data. What does EWM include specifically?
You have the product, batch, and the owner. You also have to include party entitled to dispose, goods movement bin, tolerance values, and the stock type plus the quantity.
Got it. Now, moving on to a more structural view, what are the structural components of an EWM warehouse?
You have warehouse numbers, storage types, and sections. Then you have activity areas, quants, and storage bins. Those are the fundamentals.
Makes sense. How about work centers? How does EWM organize those?
That's about configuring the storage types. You set the storage type as a work center, with storage type roles E and I. These roles mark a work center.
All right, how do you set up a new fresh warehouse in EWM? What are the steps?
It involves organizational units like the warehouse number, the storage types, and the storage sections. That's where you start.
Okay, so you need to set up the foundations. Now, what about action profiles? Where and how are those assigned?
Action profiles are assigned to the delivery document type, as well as the item type. This supports printing and other subsequent processes.
Excellent. Now, how is queue determination configured? What are the key parameters?
That's all about source and destination activity areas, bin access, activity, and the warehouse process type. You configure these parameters.
Okay. A resource group is key, right? How does it work and what influence does it have?
A resource group organizes resources, helping prioritize work and determining queue sequences for the RF framework. That, in turn, influences the warehouse order selection.
Let's dig a bit more into queue determination. What parameters are at play here?
You have the activity area, source and destination, the activity type, and also the warehouse process type. You can set them up with the IMG path in SCM.
Perfect. Let's identify the EWM warehouse. What's the identifier code?
It's a 4-digit code, is the warehouse number.
Okay, on to storage type roles. What are some of the most common?
You have pick points and automatic warehouses, also a staging area group and bulk storage. There are many different options.
Great. Now, let's talk about the storage bins. What's the max character length you have for setting up a storage bin name?
You can have up to 18 alphanumeric characters using transaction SCWLS01. Pretty generous, right?
Absolutely. When information transfers from S/4HANA to EWM, which master data gets moved?
You send the material master, customer master, and vendor master. Then transaction data, like inbound and outbound delivery documents, gets moved across.
Got it. How are storage bins assigned to activity areas?
It's all based on the aisle, the stack, and the level. These determine the assignment.
What activities do you perform within a work center in a warehouse?
Work centers, which are built up of storage bins, are for packing, deconsolidation, and sometimes also quality inspection, particularly in inbound processes.
And how do you make sure SAP S/4HANA knows which storage locations are managed by EWM?
You have to assign the plants and storage locations to the warehouse number. This tells the system.
Interesting. When you have hazardous products, how is storage handled?
You divide storage using a separate storage type or storage section for hazardous materials. It allows you to deal with those materials safely.
When transaction data transfers into EWM, how does that happen? What method is used?
Transaction data goes via BAEs or QRFCs. That's how data is transferred.
What kind of data does an SCU contain in EWM?
An SCU has geographical data, address data, time zone information, and communication details for the EWM warehouse.
Okay, now turning to RF mobile processing, what is the advantage of a partially system-guided approach?
With partially system-guided processing, the system allows for the handling unit HU selection. This is selected from the source location to be processed.
And how can you control the display on a mobile device within RF?
You use the presentation and personalization profile. Presentation profiles support different menu structures. Customers can also make changes.
Let's dive into semi-system guided queue processing. Describe this to me.
After scanning the HU, the system checks the open warehouse task. The system verifies that it's available in the correct storage bin. It also ensures the resource is okay.
What is system-guided processing? How does it work in relation to the warehouse task?
In system-guided processing, the warehouse task gets locked while performing the warehouse activity using the RF device. Helps to maintain data integrity.
Right? In RF, what barcode types are supported?
The RF framework supports GS1128 barcode types. That's a key one.
And what are some important functionalities included in the RF framework?
You have recovery options and work execution transactions, like picking and put-away processes. Logoff is provided too.
In RF, what function key is used for the list function?
It's the F8 key. That's used to display a list.
That was a lot of in-depth information covering all aspects. Let's do a quick recap and wrap up.
Absolutely. We covered how delivery documents transfer, product master data, field control, mapping between the systems. Then we went into EWM master data, queue determination, and RF functionality.
Exactly. I think this has given listeners a strong foundation for understanding the essential elements of SAP EWM within the context of SAP S/4HANA.
That's the goal. So thanks everyone for joining. We hope you found this exploration of warehouse management systems informative, and we will see you next time.